Inspired talks of Swami Vivekananda, Pradha Mantra. Om Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suray Satchit Sukha Swarupaya Swamine Taparine. The discussion that we are having is from August 3, 1895. And Swamiji says, learn to feel yourself in other bodies. There's something, discussion has been going on. And what Swamiji is trying to tell us is be free. Why free? Or for that matter, why Vedanta? Vedanta is freedom. Vedanta is about freedom. Vedanta shows the path to freedom. But Vedanta is freedom. Vedanta means freedom. Freedom at all levels. At all levels. From your spiritual bondages, from your intellectual bondages, from your physical bondages, and most importantly, which is unthinkable, from moral bondages. Other religions, go to any other religion, they're all bound by morality. Vedanta is Vedanta is true spirituality. Vedanta is about freedom, where you go beyond morality too, going beyond virtue and vice, going beyond every kind of dharma and adharma. Sri Ramakrishna says that a jnani, the one who is established in this, goes beyond all this. However, he then says, an expert dancer never makes a false move. One who is established in the truth of Vedanta, say for us, Raman Maharshi was there, Sri Ramakrishna was there, Swami Vivekananda was there. Well, these are the three persons about whom I know from our times. Earlier there were, but they have become historical figures. Sri Ramakrishna, Swamiji, Ramana Maharshi, they still seem so near, not yet so far. You'll see that these people were under no bondage. Yet, they behaved according to the norms of the society. They knew that these norms are not applicable to them. And there were certain incidents in their lives where you could feel that they're beyond all these norms. But lest people may get wrong ideas, they always behaved strictly according to the norms. However, our topic of discussion is freedom. Azad, as Swamiji says. Vedanta is about Azadi, true Azadi. But what is bondage? And if you go on talking about bondages, there would just be no end to it. Kids feel that going to school is a bondage. Eh? For the adult, some will say that love is bondage, and some will say that love is a liberation. Some will say that having kids is a bondage. And yet, for the majority of people all over the world, having kids is truly a matter of great strength. Freedom means strength. Strength and freedom, they are one and the same. As you go deeper into these things, if you really start thinking, Vedanta requires tremendous amount of intelligence. That's one big problem with Vedanta. Vedanta is not a ritualistic system, and that's why any religion or any system that has a lot of rituals, lots of pomp, ceremonies, customs, it's very easy for them to thrive. And if they're well regulated, well machined, like for example, supposing you start a religion, supposing you have some siddhis, some miraculous powers, and you start a sect, and you say that, well, you do these practices, say 3 times a day, 2 times a day, and it becomes fixed, and everybody has to do it. And slowly it gets into the community, it doesn't remain individual. You'll see that you will thrive because people like to copy what others are copying. If you ever go to a temple, those of you who are a bit meditative type, if you go to a temple where many people are sitting and meditating, you also sit, you'll see that you won't feel like getting up. Community gives us strength. Community ties us, there's no doubt about it. If there is something which I am scared of at this age, is community of any kind, because it forces you into the drill mode. But it also gives you certain amount of strength. And that's how some religions thrive. Vedanta is beyond rituals. Vedanta is about understanding. And dear listeners, Vedanta is such a wonderful system that any Tom, Dick, Harry can talk on it. Feeling Vedanta is completely different thing. If you have faith in my words, if you believe me, let me tell you, I have rarely seen a person who feels Vedanta. Definitely, I am not one who feels Vedanta because it takes you to such heights that your lungs will burst. Immaculate purity it demands of you. Because unless you are immaculately pure, immaculately, just like distilled water is pure compared to any other water on this universe, you have to be like distilled water. So pure. Why? Well, that's your nature. You are not acquiring something. You are just throwing away things that are not you. There has to be no kind of thought within you, neither good nor bad. Something unthinkable. Anyway, we can go on discussing these things. But if you narrow them down, if you want to make it practical at our level, I'll say that the three most powerful forces that tie us down to this earth or to this existence. Earth is not the right word, to this existence. Three. The first one, the first one and the most important one is desires. And desires not in the form that you need food and you need water, not in that form. Desires. The correct word in Sanskrit is moha, expectations. We don't even realize how many expectations we have, and our life will stop running if we can come out of expectations. In this world, you simply cannot live without expectation. For example, Swami Vivekananda, let's say, who is talking so much about Vedanta. From America, he had gone to London and then to Oxford. He met, many people in London. And at Oxford, he met Max Muller. Swamiji told that you are the Sayanacharya of this age, having brought out the translation of the Vedas. He requested Max Muller to write book on Sri Ramakrishna. And when the book came out, Swamiji was hugely disappointed. because he had expected a much better work from him. So there was some kind of expectation. Now, this expectation of Swamiji was not based on selfishness. It had nothing to do with him, but it has something to do with his mission. And the mission was making Hindu religion stand on its feet once again, spreading the words of Sri Ramakrishna. No, spreading the words of Vedanta through Sri Ramakrishna. But Max Muller let him down. So, expectation, and if you start thinking what kind of expectations you have, you'll be shocked. The expectations that you have from your body, the expectations that you have about your health, about your kids, from your husband, from your wife, from your friends. Very often you might have heard somebody will say that I don't expect it from you. So there was some kind of expectation, just huge, huge, huge. And our life runs, and our life is made smooth by expectations. You need to get out of these expectations. Number two is shok, brooding, lamentations. In this birth, while journeying through our life, we have made lots of mistakes. It's natural. We make mistakes. There have been hits and there have been misses. We have done good things and we have done bad things, sometimes intensely, sometimes unintentionally. The drag that's created by these past deeds, the brooding that's affected by these past things is phenomenal. It drags us down. Acharya Shankar very often says, brooding and expectations, this is world. What is existence? Existence is all about brooding, that which we missed, expectations that we don't want to miss. Our entire existence can be summed up just in these two words: expectations and brooding. If you want to be a Vedantin, if you truly want to be a Vedantin, you have to get out of this. You are about to visit a place. You're so excited about it. You say, I'm so excited about it. That means you have expectations. And what happens when it doesn't work out? Something goes wrong. Then your expectations will be a huge miss. And then it will move over to your loss, to brooding, to pain. Your mind has to be kept absolutely clean. It's not that easy. Believe me. Believe me. Dear listeners, believe me. Being a devotee of God through rituals, etc., is so easy. So easy. Being a Vedantin is so difficult. It's so easy to say, I am not this body. But how can you not be this body? Even to feel for a moment that you are not this body, you need to go beyond your mind. And to go beyond your mind, you need to be 100% pure. You need to be 100% desireless. You need to be 100% beyond brooding. Is it possible for you? Believe me, most things that are happening in the name of Vedanta is just sham. I won't say fraud, but sham. And the third thing is acts based on these two. We do many kinds of acts. And some acts are because of the basic needs of our body, of our existence. And there are some which we have to do because we are in some kind of society. I belong to the Ramakrishna mission, so I'm expected to perform certain duties. Now, if I perform my duties without any selfishness, it's okay. is taking me towards purity. Outside that, where even the slightest of desire or brooding is involved. Brooding in the sense that we don't want our past mistakes to be repeated. We don't want to feel the pain that we experienced in the past. So we try to create fences around ourselves that we do not get attacked once again. And we want to set ladders so that what we expect from the future may reach us. We need to get out of this. Thus, we have these three things. At mental level, expectations and brooding, that is two. And third is acts that are based on these two. If you want to be a Vedantin, you need to come out of these three. Never talk about your past. Talk about past only if it's going to help somebody. If it's not going to help somebody, why go on talking about your sob stories? There are people who love to narrate their sob stories. I'm one of them. Like not these days, but earlier, there's a problem with the human mind. They feel so bogged down with their problems that they like to go on narrating their sob stories to anyone who will listen. When they feel that way, their weight will reduce. But okay, if you tell your sob stories and if that is going to help someone, it's okay. But otherwise, it's meaningless. Going over the past again, 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 it just reinforces those things. Just let go. As Jesus says, let the dead bury its dead. Oh, how do you do it? Swamiji says, our expectations are always from people and objects which are beyond us. We are not established in our true nature as Atman. So we feel ourselves to be limited beings. And because we feel ourselves to be limited beings, we think that you are different from me. And since you are different from me, if I want to get closer, I will have to engage in some kind of action. And before that, I will have to engage in some kind of thoughts. Now, unless there is thought, there cannot be any action. But if you feel yourself to be in every body, all the bodies that are there in this universe, Tatra ko moha kashoka ekatvam anupashyati. Those of you who are really interested in understanding this topic, I would suggest you to listen to my talks on Ishopanishad. In English, we have this Ishopanishad. Beautiful Upanishad, very such a short Upanishad. Once you feel identified with the entire universe, how can there be any expectation? How can there be any brooding? There can be no loss, there can be no expectation of gain. But what about the bad things that keep happening to us? Swamiji says, leave all to the Lord. To remind you, Vedanta never denies God. In fact, Vedanta is the only system of thought that can explain God and fully. You have to understand whatever bad is happening to you. I repeat, if anything bad is happening to you from your closed ones, from your friends, or from unknown forces, know that these are the results of your past action. And all the bad things that you have done in this life, their results will be coming. They're waiting to come. If you want to be Vedantin, you have to do two very important things. First, Whatever comes to you, good or bad, accept that calmly. And number two, don't engage yourself into fresh negative acts. Mate ma karma phal heturbhu. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phalesu kadachana in Gita says ma karma phal heturbhu. Don't be the cause of creating new karma. Don't create new karma. If you create new karma, you will be in trouble. If you want to be a Vedantin, if you want to be free, if you want to be Azad, you need to understand the basic philosophy of freedom. That is, bondage is caused by three major forces: expectations, brooding, and the acts based on that. You might say that these are related. These are related, but two of them are at mental level, one is at the physical level. And secondly, feel yourself identified with the whole universe because that's the ultimate truth. And treat your body as dead, as inert. Let acts happen on it. Because whatever your experience is experiencing from you, experiencing as the result of the past actions. And make sure not to create new karma. Otherwise, there will be trouble for you in future. So learn to feel yourself in other bodies to know that we are all one. You might have heard of this thing from the management standpoint that put yourself in the shoes of others. No, this is not what Swamiji is talking. This is not what Vedanta says. Because your shoes are tied to your feet in such a way that you cannot take your feet out and put yourself in the shoes of others. No, it's not possible. If that person's shoe is pinching, that's his problem, not my problem. And believe me, I am very clear about it. I cannot put myself in the shoes of others. It's just not possible. Unless this is something very gross. However, if you're a true spiritual aspirant, if you really want to be a Vedantin, I remember once when I was pretty young, one senior of mine, he became extremely angry with me for some silly mistake that I had committed. Because in our way of life, most mistakes are silly. Don't commit grave mistakes. Then he became and said, "Look, first decide, do you want to be a monk? Do you really want to be a monk?" So I timidly said, "She will, yes, of course." Then just do what I'm saying. So in early days, this was one of those statements that we had to hear. Do you really want to be a monk? Then just follow what I'm saying. Do you really want to be a Vedantin? Yes. Do you really want to be a spiritual person? Yes. Then start feeling your oneness with the whole world. Don't exclude anyone. No one is excluded. A passionate person, whatever his passion or her passion might be, that might be creating wealth, that might be falling in love with this and that person. Why does he or she do all that? Because he feels identified with those things, totally identified with those things. Just like that. If you want to be a Vedantin, identify also with the whole universe. Practice it. Try to do it. Not foolishly, but as a wise person at the mental level. No one is an alien. Everyone is not yours. Everyone is you. You might have come across these kind of phrases where they say that, as I mentioned just now, put yourself in his shoes, or think of him as yours. No, no, start thinking of everyone as you. Because those with whom you are not connected, they can never be yours. But from the Vedantic standpoint, they can be you. And that is your goal. And that being your goal. For example, supposing somebody is working in some office in today's corporate world, big feet, he's eating the small fish, big fish eating the small fish. And someone tells a budding manager, put yourself in his shoes. Why should he put? He's not there for spirituality. He doesn't want to learn spirituality. He's there to make his life shine. And his idea of making his life shine is to rise higher. According to Murphy's Law, those of you might have read Murphy's Law. It's a very interesting book. It's so funny and such a negative book, they say. But I find it extremely funny. Like it says, if a thing has to go wrong, it will go wrong at a time and place as to cause maximum inconvenience. It says, in any hierarchy, you keep on rising till you reach the maximum level of incompetence. In an in a hierarchy, supposing you are in a corporate world, and supposing you are one of the managers, it means that you have not yet reached your maximum level of incompetence. Normally we think that you are reaching the level of maximum competence. Murphy says it's incompetence. And when you are chairman come managing director and the owner, you have reached maximum level of incompetence. People can be so funny. But anyway, so there is this budding manager. In the words of Murphy, he wants to reach his maximum level of incompetence. Why should he be putting his feet in the shoes of others? Rather, he would want his job also for himself and his perks and whatever it be for himself, obviously. But if you want to be a spiritual person, as I told you, my seniors used to say, you really want to be a monk? Of course, I want to be a monk. You really want to be a Vedantin? Yes, I want to be a Vedantin. Then start thinking that you are this whole universe. It's difficult, but one has to start somewhere. Throw all other nonsense to the winds. So all these managerial things and power of positive thinking and words of just let go. People will come and cheat you. Let them cheat. They are you. Come on. A mom knows when her baby is cheating her. When I was very young, there were occasions when I used to cheat my elders as a young kid. Sometimes I used to tell lies. And they used to behave in such a way as if they haven't understood a word. And I used to feel myself to be such a smart person. When I hoodwinked them. When I grew up, I realized that they understood it always. But they never let me feel that they know the kind of mischief I am committing simply because they love me. Just like that. Someone comes and cheats you, let him. I will tell you something personal, very interesting. Here at Belur Math, where I reside, I am at the other campus. It's known as University Campus. Every morning I go to Belur Math, and every now and then I keep meeting some of these monks who do not belong to our order, and they keep on moving from place to place. And those faces have become so familiar because there are some 8, 10 these sadhu babas, they keep coming every 2 months, 3 months, and they target me. And they will always come and tell that this time they are going to Kamakhya, and this time to Dwarka, and this time to Kumbh, and something or other. And they need what? Either a bag or some shoes or railway ticket like that. I try to give whatever I can. And in many cases, I know that probably they are not telling the truth. I even joke with them about this. And maybe they are trying to make money out of it. Not my concern. As a monk, they are asking a monk, and it's my duty to give them. It's his headache. If he wants to cheat me, if he feels that he has made a fool of me. So whenever they see me, they smile, and I also laugh. But I always try to give something, whatever, the little that I have. And not that I am a rich monk, but what little that I have. So don't you worry about these things. Who is cheating you? Who is cheating you in the office? Why do you bother? Who is cheating you at the railway station? Why will you bother? Everyone is yours. But at the same time, you have to know, not that you are a stupid person. No, you are not. You are far more intelligent than all of them put together. Yet, let them, because they are you. Because you want to be a Vedantin. You want to realize this whole universe is you. They do not want. It's their headache. Then Swamiji says, spit out your actions, good or bad, and never think of them again. What is done is done. Done, done. These things are these things are not so easy to practice. But you will have to begin. Once someone was angry with me when I was young. People used to scold me very often. And someone told that, you think that you understand everything. And you think you know everything. I point blank answered, I may not be knowing everything. But if I'm telling something, it means I know that to be true. It may be wrong. It may be wrong. But when I'm telling, I'm not lying. I know it to be true. And that's why I'm saying. Tomorrow, new data enters and I'll correct it. So, why did you make a mistake? You, dear listeners, because you considered that to be the correct thing to do at that moment of time. The situation was such, your understanding was such that you were forced to do. You were forced to do only that. And now you have grown up. And because you have grown up, the bank of your data, it has grown. Your understanding has grown. I read one joke recently. Knowledge means to know that tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is not to use tomato in fruit salad. I loved it. And these kind of innocent jokes. Your knowledge, your knowledge has increased, your wisdom has increased. Simply because somebody tells you that tomato is a fruit and you go and put tomato in fruit salad, perfectly all right, because you are not yet wise. But now you are wiser. Now you understand. So don't. And then you laugh at yourself. How silly of me to put to put tomato in fruit salad simply because tomato is a fruit. It's just like that. Nothing more than that. Nothing. Don't take your mistake seriously. No, no. Once I was scolded by one of our senior monks in authority for doing something. Maybe I shouldn't have told him, but I told him that, look, I was in such a position that I had to do it. And if tomorrow situation becomes like that, I'll repeat it. Not that I wish to. He became extremely angry. You can imagine. Because no one wants to do wrong things. You do wrong things simply because either your understanding is like that or your situation is like that. If people hate you for that, let them hate you. How does it matter? It's your growth, it's your life, it's absolutely your goal. Don't you worry about it and never brood about the past. In Bengali, we have a wonderful term for that, best korechi. Whatever I have done, I have done the right thing. My favorite statement, one of my most favorite statements, whenever I have been charged with a mistake, I always say best korechi. Because if I had known otherwise, if I had the competence to act otherwise, I would have done that. And I am not doing it because I am helpless. No, I cannot let myself be bogged with guilt feeling. There are two very serious, there are extreme serious loads that can finish a person. One is sense of guilt and there is sense of conflict. Please remember, never let yourself down with a sense of guilt, and never place yourself in a situation that will create a conflict situation in your mind. Guilt and conflict ruins a person, just ruins. If you have any friend who is in one of these situations, guilt and conflict, ask your person, him or her, to get out of these two. You have done, you did the right thing. Best courage. Throw off superstition, have no weakness, even in the face of death. Hmm. Do not repent, do not brood over past deeds, and do not remember your good deeds. In the same way, don't you remember good deeds because they're equally bad. They also tie you down. They will also pull you back because you will keep on thinking about, oh, I did this, I did that. Be Azad. Be free. What's the meaning of Ajadi? What's the meaning of freedom? To be free of two mental forces, expectations and brooding, and one physical. Don't act impelled by these two forces. The weak, the fearful, the ignorant will never reach Atman. If you are emotionally fragile, if your passions are too wild for you to handle, it means that you need time. Passions need to be kept under control because they will drag you wherever they want you to be to be taken. If you have a sense of guilt with yourself, if you have a sense of brooding, if you keep on blaming others, whatever you may become in life, you may become prime minister and president, you can never become a Vedantin. You may become the greatest of the persons in the world known to the society, civilized society, but you can never be a Vedantin. Naam Atma Balihinena Labhyaha. This Atman can never be achieved by the weak. By weakness we mean every kind of weakness, passions included, brooding included. You cannot undo the effect, must come, face it, but be careful, never do the same thing again. Mate karma phal heturbu. Don't be the agent for further karma. Don't create such things. Don't perform such things that will create the karmas that may bind you in future. Give up the burden of all deeds to the Lord. Give all, both good and bad. Do not keep the good and give only the bad. See, this is a very serious problem with some of the thinking. Some particularly those who believe in goodness. For example, Christianity it believes in goodness. They think that they should give up the bad and retain the good. No, that's not Vedanta. Vedanta means giving up both good and bad. Mind is like a scale, weighing scale. It does not distinguish between iron and gold. For a weighing scale, weight is weight. It does not distinguish between the gold and iron. You need to make your weighing scale free. And to make your weighing scale free, good and bad both have to go. Once I was reading a beautiful story, and there was a statement where a kid says, or kid's mom says, I'm a good Christian. And that had actually set me thinking that, okay, they can tell so easily I'm a good Christian, but can a Hindu say that I am a good Hindu? How do you differentiate good Hindu from a good Christian? And that's when slowly I realized that this is a very serious problem because a good Christian is not at all different from a good Hindu. And a good Hindu and a good Christian is not different from a good Muslim. But a good Vedantin is different from all of them. Because every religion depends fully on, established on values. These values are the values, the habits, the thinking process, and the acts that are considered to be good and noble in the society. However, spirituality goes beyond good and bad. When you say I'm a good Vedantin, it's not same as telling I'm a good Christian. A good Christian, a good Hindu, a good Muslim, a good Jew, a good Parsi, they may be one and the same. Of course, I'm not talking about the violent aspect of a religion or a society. I'm talking about the virtues because all of them will be truthful. All of them will try to be just in their dealings with others. They will not cheat. They will not tell lies, etc. But a Vedantin, it's a different thing. He goes beyond good and bad. He doesn't care for the world. He doesn't harm anybody. He won't harm anybody, no, because harming anyone means harming oneself. And his acts will not be based on some words of some person spoken in the past, but because there's a philosophy behind it. A Hindu may say that I am doing these acts because Manu has said in his Smriti that I should be doing these things, law books. A Vedantin will say that I cannot do bad things because doing bad things need to have an object, a person. But that person is me, so I cannot do anything bad. That's why, Swamiji defined ethics in a completely different manner. Ethics was defined in a completely different manner. So ethics must be based on principles, not on words of someone. So there were some thinkers just before Swamiji who were trying to give certain principles of ethics like maximum good to maximum number of people, and Swamiji contradicted these theories. The best fundamental for ethics can be I must not harm anyone because that person is me. God helps those who do not help themselves. It's a beautiful statement from Swamiji. Like, there's a very famous saying in Urdu Himmate marda madade khuda. God helps those who help themselves. Swamiji says, God helps those who do not help themselves. That means you let go. You see, there is a bird flapping its wings. And there is a bird that is floating effortlessly. Who is stronger? When you swim, as a new swimmer, you keep on throwing your hands and legs. But once you become a perfect swimmer, you might have seen that they just keep floating at the masters. Now, when Swamiji is talking about do not help themselves, he means to say that these are the masters. They have reached that level of perfection. They have worked so much. They have made their moral muscles and intellectual muscles so strong, they don't need to make any effort. Mind is now made free. It's like if you go to an airport and you just look at the runways. The runways have been made free and now a huge aircraft can land. The problem with us is that our mind is so cluttered with smaller planes and drones and this and that, that the larger planes, the huge planes cannot land. If you want some huge planes like Hercules and all to land, you need to have a free runway. A free runway means the runway has to be long, runway has to be broad, and runway has to be totally free of smaller things. When you get beyond these smaller tidbits of the world, and when you have made your muscles very strong, then only God lands in your mind. It is then that He takes over. Drinking the cup of desire, the world becomes mad. Day and night never come together. So desires and the Lord can never come together. Give up desires. As we mentioned in the beginning, that desires and brooding, these are the two eternal enemies of humankind. So that was a very special day because Swamiji had talked about many things, and maybe I'm explaining too much because this is my favorite work, absolutely favorite work. Not only of Swamiji, like if I'm asked to have one book in my life with me, I like to have inspired talks beyond Gita, beyond Upanishads. I'm saying only if I'm asked to keep only one book, even between Kathamrita and Inspired Talks. If I have to keep only one book, I'll keep Inspired Talks because Inspired Talks contains everything that Kathamrita has to say. However, Inspired Talks require much more of explanation than Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. That's a big difference, of course. With this, we end. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Om Shanti.